Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome to the Real Watchers live stream for August 13th, 2025. Of course, my name is Garrett. And you're probably not hearing Kevin say that he's Kevin because unfortunately a work conflict has come up for today. So Kevin will not be able to join us tonight, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll have him as normal next week. This doesn't mean that any video or anything has been delayed. We still have Movie Club coming out on Friday, so just wanted to go ahead and let you know he's not going to be here. So hope everyone's having a good week so far. It's been busy for me. Finished up my most recent class on Sunday, and starting my 2 fall semester classes on Friday, actually. So it's going to be a busy time. Fox Pixar Paramount is now owned by Skydance. Yep, that is absolutely correct. That big old $7.7 billion merger, I believe, has gone through. There's some news today to talk about what is happening. So some of the things that they've brought up in terms of, things that they wanted to announce and talk about. But let's go ahead and get into the news stories this week. And up first, Shrek 5 has been delayed to 2027 for, hopefully it's because those character models were terrible in that initial reveal image. Hopefully they fixed that, and that's what they're fixing on, or hopefully they're just putting some more time and elbow grease into it. But not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, those movies are very fondly remembered. They're very much passionately loved by film fans and the internet. So, they need to get it right. If it comes out and it's a disaster, then it's not going to do anything good for them at all. On the heels of the success of Weapons release this weekend, the director Zach Cregger has revealed his idea for a DCU set film. This would be an adaptation of a Batman the Animated Series storyline where either a henchman or 2 henchmen were responsible for gravely wounding the Dark Knight or Batman. And it's about the villains coming to terms with the fact that Batman is no longer around or something similar along those lines. It sounds like an adaptation of that classic animated series episode, one of the best episodes of any animated show ever, actually. So actually sounds like a really good idea. And if they can do it right, and if they give it to them, then they'll have to do it. But they haven't cast the Batman yet, let alone any of the villains that would be in that movie. So, it's really up in the air at this point. Speaking of Paramount news, The Naked Gun 5 is currently being discussed after the pretty decent success that the film has had in theaters already with the current one. I want to go ahead and just double check something real quick. I want to see how much Naked Gun is at total. Currently worldwide, it's at $58 million, which I believe it had a very low budget. I mean, bigger budget than a normal comedy, but I'm sure that it's already been that it is already profitable. That was the word I was looking for. But I'm all for this. The newest Naked Gun with Liam Neeson was fantastic, and if we get another one, I'm all for it. I mean, just bring back the cast, bring back the same writers and the director, and I think it will have another good comedy movie on our hands. Up next, more Paramount news. Top Gun is remaining a priority at Paramount. So this means that hopefully they're pushing forward with the creation and writing and everything of Top Gun 3, whatever that's going to be. If it's going to include Tom Cruise at all, Miles Teller's character will probably be the main character, but we don't really have any hints or clues yet. So it's just that they're making it a priority. Up after that, Star Trek apparently has 2 films in development. One of these has Andor's director, or one of the main directors of the Andor series, attached to direct, and the other will see Kirk, Spock, and team come back. Possibly the Kelvin timeline J.J. Abrams films, because J.J. Abrams is apparently executive producing this latest one with Kirk and the gang. So, really no ideas yet, just that they're in development. Speaking of in development, though, apparently 3 Transformers movies are in the early stages and apparently are ready and set to get first looks from the studio, allowing them to decide if it's a project they want to go with or not. This does not mean that there are 3 films coming, that there are 3 Transformers films coming out, just that there are 3 projects that they're going to review and see if maybe one of them will move forward. I mean, hopefully it's the Transformers and G.I. Joe movie that we were teased at the end of the Rise of the Beasts film, because that's the only Transformers film I think I've ever been excited for. So hopefully that's what we're getting. Next, K-pop Demon Hunters is continuing its huge winning streak with Netflix. They are going to be releasing a sing-along version in theaters, which, I mean, sure. I mean, as long as you do separate sing-along screenings and that's the kind of, the idea going into it, sure. As long as it's not like a standard screening and people are, singing or screaming along or whatever, because then I will call the manager. You do not do that in a non-sing-along screening. But it's cool that they're getting a sing-along one. The movie is a huge success. I really enjoyed the film. It has some issues, but I think it's one of the more fun Netflix animated movies that they've ever done. So I'm glad to see it kind of making the rounds for all this success. And lastly, officially, a Space Invaders movie is in development. This is coming to us from New Line Cinema, the people who just brought us Weapons, as well as Final Destination earlier this year. So no real details yet, just that they're officially developing this to potentially be a film at some point. Don't know how they're going to do it. As long as they don't do it like Pixels, then we'll be fine. If anything, make it about someone who plays the game. Make it meta, kind of like how the Gran Turismo movie tried to do, but kind of make it more like a character drama or study or something. Make it like a decent film. Don't just, make it like a space action adventure movie. As much as I love those, I'd rather see something new and interesting with a video game adaptation. So, and actually, that wasn't the last piece of news. This is the last piece of news. Warner Brothers has set a huge milestone for themselves this year, as they have 26% of the entire 2025 box office run so far, with their 6 big films, including Minecraft, Superman, Sinners, Final Destination Bloodlines, F1, and now Weapons. All 6 of these movies have been hugely successful, either for their given franchise, like Final Destination, or their original films like Weapons or Sinners. This is huge numbers for Warner Brothers, and it's not the end of them for this year too. They also have a new Conjuring movie coming out, as well as I believe there's a couple of other projects that are still yet to come. So Warner Brothers is having a record year, which is crazy because 5 of those were great. 1 of them isn't. You should probably know which one is which. Alrighty. That is it for the movie news this week. If you're just joining us, just a reminder, Kevin is unfortunately not able to be here this week because of a work conflict. So it is just me this week. So they're going to make Space Invaders like the Battleship movie, probably, which means terrible. That's what I don't want to happen. I want to see some sort of arcade, game player, biopic, some kind of thing. I want to see something that is personal with a good character. Do something original with a video game adaptation for once. That's all I want. All righty, let's go ahead and we're going to dive into the trailers that came out this week, and there were not a lot of them, unfortunately, this week, but we did get one big one, which is the film Marty Supreme, which is the new Josh Safdie movie. Benny and Josh Safdie being the brothers who brought us Uncut Gems. Benny is currently doing his movie Smashing Machine with Dwayne Johnson coming out later this year, and was just in the unfortunate Happy Gilmore 2. However, I do want to see what the actual studio is behind it. It is A24, so this looks like it's going to be a bigger A24 film about a ping pong player. So, and kind of some business moves making in the ping pong world, which, I don't know, man, the trailer looks pretty good. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about the box office last weekend. So obviously the big movie this weekend was Weapons, a huge opening for an original horror film. And what's really cool is that and I think this opening weekend outgrossed the entire director's previous film, Barbarian's entire run. This is more money than Barbarian made at all in his theater run, which is crazy Zach Krager is definitely having his moment, and I'm really excited for him because we'll talk about it when we get to the actual movie reviews part of the show. But it's a good movie. Freakier Friday coming in at second place with 28.6 million. Honestly, bigger opening than I was anticipating for this movie. Glad to see it in the top 5. Didn't think it was going to hit 2, though. Fantastic Four First Steps falling to third place this week with $15.8 million. In fourth, The Bad Guys 2 with $10.6 million. And in fifth place this weekend, we have The Naked Gun with $8.3 million. Still respectable numbers for a comedy film and a respectable weekend at the box office. Nothing earth-shattering by any means, but for a original horror film to open that big, I mean, I think Sinners had a bigger opening weekend. I actually want to double-check that real quick. Let's see. Sinners. I want to find out. Sinners' opening weekend was a $48 million weekend, and that was just U.S. So Sinners still had the bigger opening, but Weapons is in a close second there. So really commendable. Alrighty, last up here, we want to go ahead and talk about the movies that are coming out this weekend, the things that you can go check out in theaters, starting with Nobody 2. Suburban dad Hutch Mansell, a former lethal assassin, is pulled back into his violent past after thwarting a home invasion, setting off a chain of events that unravels secrets about his wife Becca's past and his own. This is a sequel to the popular Nobody film, which is one of the John Wick-style clones. This movie looks like fun, and it is getting some decent reviews. I want to see... currently on Metacritic, it's got a 60, so not the end of the world, but not the best score either. Certainly nothing like Weapons. Next up is Americana. The lives of local outsiders and outcasts violently intertwine when a rare Lakota ghost shirt falls onto the black market in a small South Dakota town. We'll have to see how this film succeeds, given Sydney Sweeney, who stars in this film, and her recent controversies. As stupid as that controversy is, I'm not here to make a comment on that. I'm just concerned that this movie will or will not succeed at the box office. Who knows? But this movie was filmed apparently 2 years ago, or did release in film festivals 2 years ago. So I don't know what's taken so long. But the reviews are kind of more middle of the road, so we'll have to see. Up after that is Spike Lee's newest film, Highest to Lowest, which is a remake of the Japanese film High to Low, which Kevin and I covered on the Movie Club episode. We both thought it was incredible. When a Titan music mogul is targeted with a ransom plot, he is jammed up in a life or death moral dilemma. This movie looks fantastic from the trailer, the music, the acting, everything looks and sounds incredible. So I'm really excited for this. I believe it might be a limited release this weekend. I actually want to double check that, because if it's not, I'm gonna go see it. Let's go ahead and see here. It looks like it is a limited opening, so you're gonna have to find a theater that is playing it. Lastly, we have Night Always Comes, which is a new Netflix film coming out starring Vanessa Kirby, who just played Invisible Woman in Fantastic Four First Steps. Risking everything to secure a future for herself and her brother, Lynette sets out on a dangerous odyssey, confronting her own dark past over the course of one propulsive night. Looks like a kind of thriller of some sort, so if it's up your alley, or sounds like it is, you can check it out. Vanessa Kirby is really the only big name, except for Jennifer Jason Leigh in the cast, so you'll have to check it out if you want to. But, of course, that is going to be it for the kind of news and stuff. It's a lot quicker when there's not a lot of news going on. And we'll go ahead and get into the movie review portion of our show. Honestly, my favorite part of the entire thing, because I love talking about the movies I've watched over the course of a given week, even though I didn't get to watch as many this week, which I kind of mentioned last week, because of the final essay for my class taking up a lot of my time. So I was able to watch a couple things, though. Speaking of, one of the movies I watched was one of the movies I talked about in my final essay, which is Superman from 1978, the one starring Christopher Reeve. And this movie is fantastic. There's no shock there. It is the best Superman movie by any stretch, because Christopher Reeve just embodies the character so beautifully and so thoroughly. I think that 2025 Superman, James Gunn's version, is really close to it. I honestly think it is, and it's probably the best Superman we've had since this. I really enjoyed this film. Christopher Reeve is fantastic. Also, Margot Kidder is a great Lois Lane. Not my favorite Lois Lane, but she is great. And the late Gene Hackman is another great Lex Luthor. A very different kind of Lex Luthor. I'm kind of like, I have a gripe that he's just more of a criminal and not so much like the scientist genius level villain that we expect from the character nowadays. But that's okay. It's not the biggest thing in the world, and Gene Hackman is wonderful in the role. And rest in peace, obviously, Mr. Hackman. But the biggest thing I don't like about this movie is that the first hour or so is really slow. Don't get me wrong; it's got a lot of good stuff in it. You know, Cal leaving Krypton and finding Ma and Pa Kent and all that. It's got some good stuff, but it just goes at a snail's pace. And this movie does not pick up until he leaves the Fortress of Solitude and gets to Metropolis, and from then on, it's near perfect. Love this movie, and highly recommend it if you've never seen it before. Up after that, I went and saw Weapons in theater this week, and I am not going to spoil this movie at all. I'm not going to talk about anything that happens in the movie and ruin your experience, because you should go in as blind as possible. But I really liked this movie. I liked it a lot more than Barbarian, because I thought that Barbarian had too many structural issues, where it would get to something like really kind of scary or terrifying, and then it would just cut away, and it wouldn't go back, and it was really frustrating. It was a frustrating movie for me. This one, on the other hand, has an incredible structure. The structure is the best part of it. In fact, like the way that it tells its story, I'm not going to talk about it because it's not true. It's not shown in the trailers. That part is fantastic. The performances are spectacular. Julia Garner continues to just have an incredible year for herself. Josh Brolin plays a character he has just become born to play at this point, a character type. Also, Benedict Wong, Alden Ehrenreich feel really good in their roles too. They were the backup choices after the original cast had to bow out because of scheduling conflicts, but everyone feels like they were made for these roles. It's great stuff. The actual, like, the storyline for why the kids disappear, I think is good. I think it's really good. I think, though, that there's a big reveal for this movie, obviously, you know, and as they have not spoiled anything in any of the marketing, and I will not hear, but I will say I was both surprised and disappointed. Not in the actual thing that reveals, but more so in, I guess, a stereotype that it perpetuates. It's really the only thing. But other than that, it's a fantastic horror film. One of the best of the year. It's up there with Sinners, really. It truly is a great film, in my opinion. Up after that was the last movie, that I had to watch for my class, which was The Brother from Another Planet, which when you hear about what the movie's about, you think that it might be like a blaxploitation film, and it kind of is, except it's much more than that. The Brother from Another Planet is an incredible film. It's a fantastic piece of low-budget sci-fi. It's part Messiah story, part Fish Out of Water, and it does a great job of humanizing an other, right? Someone else who has come here. It's a great immigration story as well. The brother himself, which is the only name we're given, is a fantastic protagonist, and Joe Morton is simply magical in the role. He doesn't talk. He just is able to experience everything in this very like childlike, innocent type way. It's really, really something. He's an alien here on Earth, and he gets to experience everything. And what's really unique about this film is that the alien is a black man who then arrives and his crash lands in Harlem, and then is able to fit in with the community without really knowing anything, and evade these bounty hunters that are after him. It does feel a bit too long at some points, and I will say that some of it's a bit too cartoony with the villains in this movie. But other than that, it is a great film. Highly recommend if you've never seen it before. I actually found this, you can't see it, but I have a box of 50 like sci-fi invasion movies. They're like all B movies and like, public domain. And this was in there, and I was like, oh, that sounds weird. I inputted it into my list, saw it was really highly rated on Letterboxd, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I guess I'll have to watch it. And then it came up in class. It was like Small World. It was crazy. Alrighty. Up after that, I watched Trainwreck Balloon Boy, the new documentary on Netflix, in this series of documentaries about things that are train wrecks. And this was just not good. It was just not interesting. It was too long. This could have been 20 minutes, honestly. There's not a lot of information here. They just bloat the hell out of it with interviews with this family. And this family is terrible. They're clearly lying, and they're clearly guilty of having set this whole thing up, but they're playing it off like they're innocent. It's ridiculous. Absolutely just did not enjoy this. Would not recommend it. It's the worst of the train wreck documentaries so far. Lastly, I thought that was bad. But then my curiosity got the better of me, and I went and I watched Amazon's 2025 War of the Worlds film with Ice Cube. And this is one of the worst films ever created by humanity. It is a blatant advertisement and endorsement of privacy infringement, of making you like the character works for the NSA and spies on people for a living, and they make him the hero, number one. Number two, everything that he does benefits him and someone else, so they're trying to make it look better than it is. And then number three, it's also product placement. The ending of this movie involves an Amazon package delivery drone, and I'm not even kidding. It's really bad. Not on top of that, the performances are terrible. The visual effects feel like an afterthought. It's painfully slow for an 89-minute film. It goes at the rate of molasses. It is so slow. And Ice Cube is awful in this movie. He's decent in other movies. Here, he just loses any talent whatsoever. H.G. Wells would be ashamed of this version of his story. I think it is truly insulting to the intelligence. And like the idea to do this entire thing over Zoom like a screen share is so inane. It is so asinine. It's insulting. If you watch this and you're not insulted, you should be examined, because you're the only person in the world. And it's that bad. 0 out of 100. But those are all the movies I watched outside the wheel spin stuff. So just wanted to go ahead, kind of get those out of the way. Got a comment here. We told you to be aware of the flying around the earth bit. Sure. Yeah, but it is like a super powered version of like a Messiah miracle. I watched this film as part of a paper where I had to analyze the Messiah story. So then that's really what Superman is. Superman is a Messiah figure. He's an alien Messiah come to save humanity, that kind of thing. So it makes sense, right? And that helps to resurrect Lois. And that is a resurrection is part of Messiah stories. So it makes sense. It's a little weird, but it makes sense. Alrighty, but let's go ahead and get into the wheel spin stuff this week. And we'll go ahead and do Kevin's stuff first. Oh, he didn't watch any movies this week except for the wheel spin. I know he's been busy with homework and other stuff. So, or if he did watch anything, maybe we'll get it from him next week. But up first is Kevin's short that I picked for him, which is Billy's Balloon from 1998, directed by Don Hertzfeldt, who did the Rejected cartoons, as well as It's Such a Beautiful Day, which we covered on Movie Club. Kevin said, this is so funny with no dialogue, but you know what's going on. And the animation was fantastically simple. Love this. It's a great short. I'm glad he liked it too, giving it an 88. And Kevin's feature film this week was Texas Chainsaw 3D, which he gave a 27 out of 100. He said, this movie is okay, but I didn't like the decision to not see Leatherface's mask, as it's always in the dark. The acting is horrible, the gore is good, but the dialogue is horrible as well. And then it's not even so bad that it's good or quotable. It's just bad. So Kevin ended up giving this a 27 out of 100. As for my wheel spins this week, I got The Legend of Rockabye Point from 1955, which was surprisingly fun. I was not expecting to like this as much as I did. The voice acting was spectacular. The gags are really funny throughout. And the animation feels distinctly 50s, but also, I believe this is Tex Avery. I want to make sure I get that right. Come on, Letterboxd, if you could load. Yeah, it is Tex Avery. It feels Tex Avery, but it also doesn't. The art style has changed a little bit, which is kind of nice. The ending is a little morbid, but it's part of the joke, and I really enjoyed this short. So gave it an 88 out of 100. And lastly, I got Jinro the Wolf Brigade for my film this week, which is an anime film, which I've been itching to watch for a while. Absolutely loved this movie. It's an incredible, deeply layered film that is a damning indictment of fascism and the effect that it has on humans. It dehumanizes through its militarism, through its authoritarianism, not only through all these betrayals and power grabs, but like it's through the character, his story, and his nuanced like spiral downward. It's really fascinating. I love that it wasn't action heavy. I love that it was more of a personal piece and more of a political thriller of around anything. It was very surprising. I think Fuse is a great character that is not the most emotionally resonant, but he is intelligent and his struggles are very vividly shown. Also, his interactions with Kay are interesting, given how the ending works out, and she's a fascinating character as well. Like any great political thriller, nothing feels real. Or everything feels real, but there's always something underneath the surface that's like edging its way out. The film is gorgeous too, beautifully animated. I can't help but think that the designs for the soldiers, the Kerberos soldiers, were based off of the Warhammer Space Marines a little bit, just because both are statements against fascism and authoritarianism and police states. But if there's anything I didn't like, it's some of the pacing in its first act. Some of its first act can be a little slow after the initial kind of riot scene. But it's a relatively small complaint. This movie should be given a chance. It is truly fantastic and a great anti-fascism film. There are 2 live-action films. This is actually the 3rd movie in a series, but the first one chronologically, which is nice. The first 2 are in live action, which is really interesting. And I've heard that both movies are really good as well. So can't wait to check those out. And that is going to be the end of all the movie reviews and wheel reviews. So let's go ahead and talk about this here. You almost forget Rockabye is a Chilly Willy cartoon. He almost felt like an afterthought. 100%. Like the penguin was barely in it. Chilly Willy. Barely in it. It was more the polar bear and the dog, and they were more fascinating characters. I'd love to watch another Chilly Willy cartoon at some point to see what that character can do. But I really liked what we were given. This was a fantastic short for sure. Alrighty, but that is going to be it for those. Let's go ahead and get to our favorite part of the show, among many. We have very favorite parts of the show, which is where we click the mouse, and that leads to the spinning of a wheel. The wheel will then determine what movie we have to watch and what short we have to watch. Hopefully that was good enough, Kevin. If you're watching this, you have to let me know if that was good and lives up to your legacy. But let's go ahead. I'll give it about 2 minutes here. If anyone wants to give any suggestions for the wheel, we've got a lot of movies on here already, but I'm always down to add more. I believe we added some shorts last week. So, yep, Tortilla Soup from 2001. Let's see here. Tortilla Soup, which is from 2001. Let me just double check, make sure that's on Letterboxd. Yes, it is. Never even heard of it before. Interesting. All right. I will be on the list for sure. Any other wheel spin items that anyone would like to add? Honestly, I don't know at this point. Jinro was such a pleasant surprise that I am really excited for whatever I get. Kevin did not enjoy his movie as much, but hopefully we can get him something that's good and something that can, make him feel better after having to watch that movie. But give about another minute here. Let me grab some water while we wait. Always underestimate how good water is. Let me tell you. Alrighty. Doesn't look like there's any more coming in, but we'll give it another 30 seconds just in case. Yeah, I have no idea what I would want to watch. I've never seen any of the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies, so that would be fun. Never saw Firestarter. I need to rewatch Hobo with a Shotgun. There's another Land... I forgot we had another Land Before Time movie in here. That's annoying. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. So... And unfortunately, Kevin is not here, so if it lands on Kevin's pick for me, we'll just respin it. Alrighty, that has been 2 minutes. We're going to go ahead and shuffle this up. We're going to go ahead and get Kevin's short first. Let's see what we get. If we don't get a short on the first time, we'll spin it about 3 times or so. Kevin can't pick for himself, so we'll shuffle again, or spin again. All right, that is a film, so we'll spin one more time. If it doesn't land on a short, we'll pick the closest one. If I can even read it at this point. Let's see. That's okay. The closest one is Scaredy Cat, which I have already seen. So I will not be watching that one. Luckily, that's not my pick right now. Make sure it's the one I'm thinking of. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. Alrighty. So Kevin's short is Scaredy Cat this week. Let's go ahead and remove it from the wheel, shuffle it up, and we'll go ahead and get my short next. I love those ones where, Sylvester's getting creeped out. All right, come on, give me a short. All right. We'll give him another spin just in case. And I'm not going to pick for myself. So one more time. I guess we should just have a separate wheel for shorts and a separate one for movies. Maybe I'll look into that. All right. Closest one is Something's Something, I believe. Also looks like Murder, She Wrote. Let's check it out. All right. No, it was not Murder, She Wrote. I believe that was Elmer's... No, not Elmer's. That was... We already did that one. What was it then? All right, we're going to do Gonzalez's Tamales. That's the only possessive one that I don't think I've seen. And there was a possessive apostrophe in the one that it got was the closest. So go ahead and remove that, shuffle it up. We'll go ahead and get Kevin's feature-length film. If it does land on my pick for him, then I will pick a movie for him. But since he's not here to pick one for me, that won't work, unfortunately. Kevin, oh, nice. Kevin is getting Kubo and the Two Strings, and we are taking off a Kevin movie this week, which is awesome. Great movie. Love that movie. Really jealous. I've already seen it and reviewed it, but totally jealous. All right, let's go ahead and roll and see what movie that I get this week. Who knows what it could be? It's something. Face Off. Oh, man, I have not seen Face Off, so that is really funny. Let's see here. What's it streaming on? John Woo, gotta love it. Gonna have to rent it, but this movie looks absolutely hysterical, so can't wait to check it out. So this week's film, Kevin is going to be watching the short Scaredy Cat with Sylvester the Cat and Looney Tunes, and we'll be watching the feature-length animated film Kubo and the Two Strings. I will be watching the short Gonzalez's Tamales and the feature film Face Off, which is a lot of fun. Great stuff. So thank you, everyone. I know it's a little bit short this week. Kevin's not here to talk about stuff he's watched, and our fun usual banter isn't here. But Kevin will be back next week. Hopefully that there's no work kind of conflict, and we'll be able to do it as normal. But of course, we do have this live stream that goes live every single night. Not every single night, excuse me, every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And of course, we have Movie Club, which comes out on Friday. This week, we're going to be covering the 2020 remake of The Invisible Man, which is going to be a really fun episode to talk about. So can't wait to talk about it with you there. Make sure you're subscribed so you know when that goes live. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining us and for bearing in with a quick night tonight. But until next time, make sure to keep those eyes on the screen. Have a great night, everyone.